innovation has transformed this space at a rapid cycles that I felt like I'm learning something or I'm a beginner every couple of years. When I would sit down with chief data officers or CIOs or CTOs and talk about the complexity of data and the barriers to gaining value and how we can help them, it really resonated. So that's what really helped drive the growth of the prior startup.
Corporate job or startup? Pick one.
Startup.
You already picked yours.
You get a lot of autonomy in a startup job, and I love that.
What is the biggest myth about AI?
Again, people think AI is about technology, which is true. Technology is the foundation, but it's really about solving real world needs and business applications. Whoever does that is going to do really well in the next decade.
Welcome to Lighten. In today's show, we have a very eminent guest, and he spent 25 plus years turning data into decisions and decisions into business impact. Sree Majji has worked with global giants like Pfizer and Wells Fargo, and more importantly, he didn't just stay in corporate comfort. He stepped out and scaled a data and AI practice, 3x in revenue and 5x in team. He thinks like a builder, not just a leader. So, this isn't just a conversation about data analytics and AI, it's about how to stay relevant, take risks, and think like an entrepreneur in today's world. Sri Mauli Maji is creating huge impact in North Texas. I'm so excited to welcome him to the show. Sri, we are so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me here, Guru and team. Let's take a couple more steps back, right? I'm originally from Vishakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh, so it's a relatively small town. Growing up, so I grew up there. Went to IIT Chennai, as you said. Got my bachelor's degree in metallurgical engineering, and then I came to the U.S. to pursue my master's. So I came here to the Ohio State University on a scholarship. Graduated, worked in the tech space, so that's the 25 years starts there. I went back to school to get my MBA along the way, and then I've been in the corporate leadership and now entrepreneurship space for the past 5 years. But to your question, I always felt like every year or so into my journey in the career side, I'm a beginner because the technology landscape has shifted so much. So I specialize in the data and AI space. And the definition of that has changed tremendously since I started working, roughly 25 years ago. And the innovation has transformed this space at a rapid cycles that I felt like I'm learning something or I'm a beginner every couple of years. And that kind of reflected along my journey as well, my career journey. I was with a company called Teradata for 10 years. It was a large relational database technology. But even then, the pace at which innovation was happening, that we were just constantly rediscovering ourselves every 2 years. So yeah, I always felt like I'm starting over every year and a half or so as things around us have been changing.
Now, the fact that you feel like a beginner at every stage speaks to your humility, and you've been inspiring thousands and millions of people around you in the community, and I'm sure you do that in your professional field as well. I know the journey has been quite illustrious from
Thank you.
data analytics standpoint, right? As a domain,
Yeah.
a transformation from metallurgy to data, and data went through its own curve from BI to big data to AI,
Yes.
and today we're in the AI world,
Yes.
and you built a couple of startups in data and AI. Speak to me a little bit about your ventures and what impact you're trying to create through your startups.
Yeah, so I've been with one startup the last 5 years. It was called Gati Analytics. It was founded by a couple of my colleagues at JP Morgan Chase, and so that's the startup that I've joined. And really, our philosophy was so data is very complex. Like you talked about, BI to big data, and now cloud and AI, and then I'm sure there'll be something else a couple of years from now. But data is inherently very, very complex, and large companies really, really struggle to make sense of it. So that's been our philosophy. When I joined the startup, it was really, can we help large companies find fast, sensible ways to get value out of the data? And believe it or not, a lot of companies still struggle with it. So that was the philosophy of Gati. And our message really resonated with large, leaders in the corporate space. I was a corporate leader for 10 years myself at T-Mobile and JP Morgan Chase and other companies. And so when I would sit down with chief data officers or CIOs or CTOs and talk about the complexity of data and the barriers to gaining value and how we can help them, it really, really resonated. So that's what really helped drive the growth of the prior startup. I'm a couple of weeks away from joining my next startup right after my election. And really now I think it's, just real quick on that. Now it's the same philosophy, but companies are trying to figure out what to do with AI,
Mhm.
right? I mean, there's a lot of every couple of weeks something AI comes up. Anthropic throws a new model,
Right.
ChatGPT releases a new version. So I find companies at the same stage as they were 5 years ago when we joined the prior startup. So that's really the mission with the next startup. Yeah.
Right. So pivoting to AI from big data, right? Today, of course, it is the flavor of the month. It's probably favor of the next few decades, and uh, the the conversations from drawing rooms to boardrooms is all about AI, and you
Hmm.
seem to be at the forefront of the AI transformation.
Yes.
I wanted to pick your brains on something that always was very intriguing to me. Everyone thinks they know AI, right? It's kind of common knowledge. Everyone has access to tools, and
Hmm.
we all use AI. So, in as much as everyone on WhatsApp thinks they're a media person, similarly, we have that AI in us, and we think we know it all. We know a
Yeah.
little bit of it. So where is that platform of AI today? How do you separate those who know it and those who don't know it? And what do people what people what do you expect people to do to really catch up with this AI transformation? Because it's kind of happening so fast. I,
Mhm.
I don't think millions of people are able to catch up with the pace.
Yeah. So to me, AI is not a new technology, by the way. Artificial intelligence. I mean, the folks have been doing PhD for 40 years on the concept of artificial intelligence, right? What you're seeing now is with the technology barriers being broken, like technology, scale was the barrier for the longest time. With cloud and cheap compute and cheap storage, those barriers are breaking down, and so you see the AI technology maturing at a rapid pace. So that's true. The technology is catching up, and so you have large language models, and then you need applications built on top of that. So AI as a technology, in my opinion, is going to fundamentally disrupt everything in the next 5 to 10 years, and it's going to be focused on automation, right? So if you need X number of people for Y number of days to do a job, so XY is the duration, AI may be able to cut that in half, maybe 70%. So I think you're going to see efficiency and automation as the output of that. As it comes to data, just in general, is Gartner a few years talked about the four V's of data, right? V.
Right.
So volume, velocity, variety, and voracity, right? So volume is, can we handle large volumes of data? Okay, we've solved that. That's not an issue barrier anymore. Velocity is, can you handle data at the speed of generation? I think we handled that too with all the technologies, open source technologies. Variety is, can you bring diverse sets of data together and make sense of it? I think we've solved that. The last V is veracity, which is truth, right? So can you trust your data and enough to make decisions on it? I think that's been still the barrier. So in order to use AI the right way, we need highly trusted, reputable, governed data for enterprises to use them for business decisions, right? From a data perspective. So I think we're not there yet. We're still looking at efficiencies with agentic AI. We're looking at efficiencies. With generative AI like chat GPTs, we've built a lot of chatbots for my informational purposes.
Right.
But for me to get this to scale, we need to make sure the data is reliable, and then applications can then consume and run with it. So we're getting there. We're not there yet. Yeah.
Sure. I have two follow-up questions on this. Uh, what are the common mistakes people are committing? We see thousands of AI companies
Yeah.
mushrooming all over the world. Big,
Yeah.
small, medium startups. Everyone has an ambition to take a billion-dollar exit. And there's nothing wrong
Mhm.
with that, right?
Yeah.
But what are the common mistakes these entrepreneurs are committing today in conceiving a AI startup?
Yeah. So I think, and I talked to many of them as a part of my entrepreneurship journey.
Sure.
The biggest mistake that everybody's thinking in terms of AI is they're focusing on the technology. Okay. And technology is commodity right now. Anything to do with AI, because by the time OpenAI comes up with the next model, DeepSeek is coming up with the cheaper version in 2 weeks, right? So if you're
Hmm.
going to build an app using OpenAI, DeepSeek is going to take you to, or your competitor is going to use DeepSeek and overcome your advantage. So I think everybody's focusing on the technology. I would let the technology ecosystem figure that out. My advice to everybody is focus on the business application and the business knowledge. Okay. So, one of our clients is trying to automate how they do back office clearing of trades every day.
Mhm.
Fairly manual process. They spent gazillion hours on it every day. Well, we think with agentic AI, we can automate that because we know the business knowledge, right? So if you are in the industry right now, don't focus on the technology because technology is going to come for the ride. Focus on the business knowledge and the subject matter experience, and that's what's going to differentiate you.
Right. So in the current context,
Mhm,
everyone's looking at growth and fast growth, right? Uh,
mhm.
Investors are looking at 5x, 10x kind of
Yeah.
exponential value as soon as they invest. And
Mhm,
AI is kind of redefining, it's kind of breaking all the traditional growth models.
mhm.
So can you talk to me a little bit about what is your perception of growth in the AI world?
Yeah. So, um, my focus in the AI world again has mostly been around, can we help large scale enterprises gain efficiencies with AI and AI applications. But also, can we introduce or elevate the way they think about customers and growth from their point of view, right? So, and that's where my next startup is going to be focused on is, can we go to a large bank and find five things, and we can build an AI application to make it efficient and save them $500 million a year, right? So that's what our focus is. And I think with that focus, we expect our business to grow tremendously, right? So I do think if you approach the AI landscape the right way, I think there is the potential to grow is substantially more than in the past. Okay. So, and then if I just blow this up to the larger industry, if you have the right application that's solving the right customer need for a large scale enterprise across an industry, the potential to grow is substantial. So the models at which VCs and others are looking at is in line with that. as long as you as a company, right, are approaching or you fit in that ballpark from a growth perspective, I think you're going to see a lot of benefit from it. But if you're an investor, you really need to figure out, is this company solving a need? Okay,
Mm.
and that could replicate across multiple companies within an industry. Are you just, going along for the ride? If you're the latter, I wouldn't invest too much in that.
Let's talk a little bit about the human aspect of AI.
Yeah.
There's a huge cultural impact as well
Hmm.
and psychological impact. There's a scare of jobs going away. Uh, I was at an event last weekend. The
Hmm.
president of University of North Texas was delivering a keynote, and he alluded to the fact that most of the campus jobs are vanishing because companies are not ready to scale up on hiring, particularly at the entry level. And they're facing a huge challenge. Uh,
Yeah.
Thousands of jobs are going away for new entrants. So, for the young workforce coming into the employment world, uh, what do you think they should be prepared for? Because this change is
Yeah.
really happening very fast, as I said.
Yeah, and the context of this is software engineering, right? So for the past 30 something years, computer science and software engineering has been the hottest career to choose if
So,
you're, a high achiever. You talked about me being a metallurgical engineer and switching into software. That's because of that. I mean, I took a couple of programming classes at Ohio State, including a class on database. I loved it. And so I switched careers, and here I am, like 25 years later, right? I'm an expert SVP in this space. So that is going to change because, as I alluded before, you're just not going to need as many software engineers as we did in the past,
mm,
because AI is at a point where AI can write 60-70% of the code. Okay, so you're just not going to need that. So the skills, my advice in general would be, look at the skills of the future, where you need a lot more manpower than the things that have been hard for the last 30 years, like software engineering. I mean, even at our school level, and we'll talk about this later,
sure.
we have, sorry, real quick. Even at our high school level, we have something called a career and technology center. And so we try to introduce courses that may help somebody get into the profession if they don't want to college. And we're going to look at that too, because in US, the hottest job right now is the data center technician. Somebody who knows how to do plumbing, somebody who knows how to do electrical, right? These are the hottest jobs. And so there's going to be a segment of the workforce that's going to get trained there. And there's going to be, a ton of jobs. But my advice would be is, look at the professions of the future. There'll be less emphasis on software engineering, more emphasis on communication, business analysis. So you wanna align with those, but it is definitely a threat to entry level recruiting, no question about it. But I think we need to watch it very closely. Yeah.
Mhm. But from a student standpoint, right?
Hmm.
This is also an opportunity at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
But the adaptation to change is going to
Mhm.
be the key at all
Yeah.
levels,
Yeah.
students as well as experienced folks.
Yes.
So in this journey, are there any precautions that these university students can take? Uh, eh, Say 1 or 2 years into graduation or undergrad, uh,
Mhm.
what is it that they can do to reskill themselves or reposition themselves, particularly those who are leaning towards a software engineering kind of a career?
Yeah, again, I think as it pertains to software engineering, I just don't think the demand's going to be there in the future as much as it did in the past. My
Mhm.
advice would be, get into more like robotics, because there's going to be a future if you believe Elon Musk, right? So there's going to be a future where robots are going to do everything for us, and then we don't have to do as much as we do today. And I'm ready for that future, by the way. Uh, um, But yeah, I mean, you think about professions of the future like robotics and reskill yourself. I still believe some of the professions like business management, MBAs, business management, legal, and other. Those are still going to be in demand because end of the day we need humans, right, to handle these human based professions. So maybe a couple of years into your software engineering job, if you don't think the right opportunities are there, and go back to college like I did. I mean, I went back to college and got my MBA, and that really, really helped me. So
Right.
maybe find that one thing that could elevate your career.
Right. No, that's interesting. And in your career and in your transformation, from
Mhm,
metallurgy to being an entrepreneur to uh, community leadership that you're embracing now, and we'll talk about it
mhm.
in a short while. Usually it's easy to talk about success stories, and you are one of those most accomplished people as an Indian American here.
Mhm.
Uh, are there any lessons that you have learned? Are there any failures that you'd go back and say, "Look, I wish I had not done this." That could be of value to our audience and viewers of this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I've been bold and I took a lot of bold decisions, including leaving Teradata and going to JP Morgan Chase. There was a huge career transition. And then leaving T-Mobile, going to the startup space, that was another huge career transition. I would say maybe just a couple of things I would have done a little bit differently is one, I would have made bolder decisions sooner. Okay. I've passed on a lot of decisions because I just, I wasn't ready for them. I wasn't bold enough. I did make a couple of bold decisions that helped my career, but I would say if an opportunity presents and you have conviction about it, just go for it. Just go for it, especially early on in your career because you always have time to make up for it if it doesn't work out. Okay. So that would say in retrospect, I would have probably made a couple more bolder decisions sooner than I did. The second thing is, I think education is very, very, very important. Um, every extra degree you go pursue as a master's or MBA or something else, it elevates you and it elevates you for the rest of your career. Okay. So there's two people in the same job. One has an MBA, one doesn't have an MBA, or one has a master's, the other has a master's. The person with the master's is gonna have make more money or have more opportunity to be successful for the rest of your career relative to that other person. So I waited a little bit late again on getting my MBA. Probably should have gone a couple of years sooner. I think that would have helped my career a lot more. That would be my advice. Go bold if you can, if you have conviction, and then two, pursue higher level of education. That's going to really transform your career.
Right. I wanted to pivot our conversation to your public life, and
Okay.
you look like a potential senator in the United States. I know I met you at Global Organization of People of Indian
Yes.
Origin, GoPio. It
Yes.
was fantastic meeting you there. I know you're doing a lot of work for the community, and so from a Indian American community perspective,
Mhm.
what are the social issues that you're seeing in America for Indian Americans today?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on now. I'm sure you've seen some of the craziness happening at our city council in Frisco,
Yeah,
but I think that's a little bit extreme, in my opinion. That's people with agendas trying to strike up notoriety. I would say that that's not typical. That's not the America that I've seen for the last 25 years. But in general, there's been a mass influx of people from India for as students and professionals, and that shows everywhere we go. There is a lot of backlash for sure. I see messages online that somebody says, "Hey, this doesn't look like the Texas I grew up," which is true. But that's part of America's transformation too, as a company, right? As a country. I'm sorry, right? So. So that's there. If you go to our schools, there's a lot of Indian kids. So it's obvious, but it's okay. I mean, America has always been, to my observation, a very welcoming country. If you're in it for the right reasons and you have the right intentions, I always felt like this country gives the best opportunities with the people who have the most merit. Right? They trust you if you have the right intentions, you have the right qualifications, and you're in it for the right reasons. So that's the biggest thing to me. And so one of the things I do as I'm running for office here is I tell all my Indian community neighbors, get involved and help the community that you live in. Okay. And just the Indian general Indian psyche, as we've come from India, is we we it takes time for us to assimilate and become Americans, right? Part of the green card process is is
Yeah,
process,
yeah,
but in general,
absolutely.
we have a tendency to help something in India, which is great. Please keep doing that, but there is a lot of need and wants in the community where you live. It's not obvious like it's in India, but there is there. There's a lot of help. Your backyard, your community needs. So we have to find ways to get involved and make a difference. And I think that's going to really, really help our images as immigrants as well. Yeah.
So as a leader, how
Mhm.
do you motivate people to come out of their traditional mindsets and start working with the community for the community for a large
Yeah.
cause? W-
Yeah, a lot of different ways, right? So there's a few Indian people now in the city of Frisco. We have two people in elected position. There's several contestants, but there's also many people working in community boards, as volunteers, and school organizations as volunteer, PTAs, committees, things like that. I think that's definitely sending a positive message to our community that we can get involved, make a difference. But second part is is really keep spreading the message at every opportunity possible, take every avenue available. We have a lot of Indian organizations here, right, in North Texas. So
Right,
I think we can channel those activities, spread the message, gain awareness. Like a lot of times when I go meet my neighbors and others, they don't even know half the problems that the community has. So I think we need, leaders like you and I and others to go and spread the message and make sure our community has awareness. And those who want to be part of it, I think we can definitely show ways they can make a difference.
right. And you went to the best school in India, IIT,
Hmm.
which is on par with MIT or even perhaps better. You probably been one of those top rankers all through your career. You had enough share of academics, right?
Yes.
And you have a good share of corporate world and entrepreneurial success, and
Yes.
you have a great life as we see. And from a background that is so enviable, you are in a way going back to school, even as you knock on the doors of Frisco ISD,
Yeah.
and it brings you back to making that impact, right?
Yeah.
And what was the trigger point for that? I can imagine you being on boards of multinational companies, but why ISD and what does it mean for you?
Yeah, just volunteering has been part of me for a number of years. So I've been volunteering, but I really found out the last, let's say, 5 years or so. I just found out that helping young individuals gives me great joy. Okay,
Hmm.
and whether that's in high school or college. So I do some things on the college side as well. But when I go, talk to them, listen to them, and I can give them advice and help, it gives me a lot of joy. But also I actually gain a lot out of it. I think I always tell my friends I get more out of it than I put in. Okay, because our young, high school students, they are so not only smart but hopeful and ambitious, and they're full of ideas.
Right,
So every minute I spend with any of them, it replicates and amplifies the energy that I get out of it. So that's really where it started. And I started mentoring students in the classroom, and then I started getting opportunity. As you get more involved, you learn more and you get more opportunities to serve more. So I started serving on multiple nonprofit boards on the education side. Multiple committees help shaping the future of our school district. Really got to know a lot more about our schools and some of the problems that they're having. And so this year, when there was an opportunity on the board, many members in the community came to me and said, Sree, we would like you to join and contest for the election. So the election is like a step in the process, but just working with the young students and young professionals gives me a lot of joy as a mentor, as a leader. And so that's why I decided to spend a lot more time in this particular area compared to anything else.
So, what are those top two or three issues in Frisco ISD that you like to take on, and they necessarily don't have to be issues, but talk to me a little bit about those two three areas where you want to make the impact. And I'm going to
Yeah.
follow up with AI question again
Okay.
on in the schools. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Frisco. So I'm in Frisco, Texas,
Right.
and we've been a fast-growing city for a number of years. One of the fastest-growing cities, and our school district grew with it, and we are very, very highly rated from an academic point of view. The biggest challenges are we are not growing anymore, and we're actually declining enrollment. Um, and it has implications because of the way public education is funded in the state of Texas. um, it's proportional to how many students you have. So with the declining enrollment, our funding is going to drop, and so my biggest priority is to make sure we support all the programs that the parents want, the students want, provide high quality education to the students of the next decade, while tackling these enrollment and budgeting issues that go with it. So that's like the number one issue. And there's a lot of technicalities and nuances to this, but that's the biggest challenge we have at this point. And then the other thing is making sure we keep our teachers. Again, teacher retention is a huge issue in America, in Texas. Pay, other issues, and then I think I touched upon this, but again, how do we ensure my kid went from first to 10th here, and he's got 2 more years left, and he's going to go to college. He received a great education from Frisco ISD. How can we make sure the next kid that walks into Frisco ISD gets the same level of education? That is my ultimate objective here.
So, are there any challenges you see in being that bridge between parents and the ISD, the board, and the executive branch of the ISD?
Um, one of transparency is always a thing. One of the biggest feedback items. And transparency cuts both ways. But yeah, we need to make sure parents are receiving and community members are receiving the right information, and make sure they are engaged is important. Um, in terms of the way the school district works, is the board of trustees. We are like a governing body, and so we oversee and set priorities and make sure the school district is compliant. But the school district by itself is almost like an independent corporation. So they're going to run as an independent company, but we are like a board of directors, if you may. So yeah, that's the second job. One is community. Second is making sure we oversee and govern the school district. The second job. Yeah.
So, obviously, you bring a huge domain expertise of AI into the board.
Yeah.
And so, what are your plans to AIfy all the schools in Frisco?
Yeah, so I've been I was just endorsed by the Dallas Morning News last week, and there was an in-person interview, and AI was a hot topic. And in fact, they said my tech savvy as an executive is going to be an edge to the school board, and that's one of the reasons why I recommended. So you're absolutely spot on. So I think AI is gonna impact the school district in a few different ways, right? One is, does it impact the education component itself, right? Do we do less hours of education, right? Or we do a different way of education of using AI in the classroom? I think that is ways away, in my opinion, because public education, we need to protect our kids, right? I mean, there's going to be a lot of things done before we get there, okay? The education itself. But two, our teachers already have tools to use AI to do better in terms of preparing, lessons and classes and things like that. So teachers already have it. I think we'll keep making sure they have, better tools at their disposal so they can be better teachers or better use of their time, I should say that.
Yeah.
So that's happening. And the third piece is, and so the third piece is like, I touched upon this, right? Is what are the type of courses that we're going to introduce that's going to help somebody who wants to get into the field of AI? May not be as a software engineer, but as a technician or some other complementary adjacent professions. So I think we're gonna make changes there pretty quickly because AI is almost here, and in our CTE center, we're gonna introduce more AI career ready courses in the near future. But yeah, my just being in the AI world and helping companies in the AI space, I think is gonna give a definite advantage if I get elected and get onto the board. Yeah,
Sure. No, I do wish you get elected. And
thank you.
Sri, one thing that really fascinates me about your journey
Hmm.
is your transformation and your ability to handle multiple roles and being on the board of ISD and doing so much of community work is not easy. It takes away a lot of time. Right?
Hmm.
I always envy people who manage their time so well, like you do. So
Thank you.
share some secrets of time management with our viewers and myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say two things. One, really figure out what your true passion is. Okay. And I think most of us can have one or two things that we are passionate about. And in addition to education, there's a couple of things I have. I do a lot with our food bank and making sure people who don't have the means to get to can be supported. So I support a food bank and a couple of organizations like Hunger Mitao, and I'm part of all that. So that's one of my passions. But education is the passion that I really resonated with me as I started getting older, I should say that. But yeah, I would say, figure out what your passions are. Don't do like 10 things. You're not going to have the time. Do one, maybe two things that you're really passionate about, and then you go after it. Second thing is you're never going to find the time to do anything. You have to make the time. Okay. So look at your calendar and say, can I do something for this 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon? And you may have to make a choice. Instead of watching TV, sports, or a movie, you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to spend 2 hours on this passion. So
Right.
you have to make these chunks of time during your schedule and then just focus on that when you have the time. So you have to make the time. You're just not going to find the time.
Are you ready for the rapid fire round?
Mhm.
Okay. I have 10 questions. And in this segment, we still don't have an award, but most of our guests end up winning those unseen awards for doing so well in the rapid fire round. And
Okay.
I'm expecting a similar blast from you. Right. So, my first question is one word that defines the future of AI.
Opportunities.
Opportunities. Wonderful. Data is powerful or dangerous?
Powerful.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
One skill every entrepreneur must have.
Influencing.
Hmm. Corporate job or startup? Pick one.
Startup.
You already picked yours. I'm sure many of
Autonomy.
us.
You get a lot of autonomy in a startup job, and I love that.
Yeah, I hear you. What is the biggest myth about AI?
Again, people think AI is about technology, which is true. Technology is the foundation, but it's really about solving real world needs and business applications. Whoever does that is going to do really, really well in the next decade.
Absolutely. Build fast or build right?
Build right.
Build right. One habit that changed your career trajectory.
Um, I would say just being more inquisitive. I think I became more inquisitive along the way, and I think that really helped me. I've been a person who generally likes to listen and
Good.
absorb a lot before I act. But along the way, I started becoming a lot more inquisitive, and that I think really helped me. Yeah,
One thing is being inquisitive, and second thing is to act on that inquisitiveness. Which, and you did that. You did both of them so well, and I'm
thank you.
sure our viewers are taking away that key message from you as well.
Yeah,
And money, impact, or freedom. Pick two.
impact, one for sure. I would say freedom,
Impact and freedom.
impact, and freedom.
Money is a coincidence.
Money comes with it. If yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. One thing you would never outsource as a leader.
talent recognition, um, and then anything around it, hiring, retaining. That's very near and dear to me. My mantra is you win with people. So if you don't surround yourself with the right talent and you completely believe in it, I think success is going to be a lot harder. So that one, yeah.
Sure. Legacy or success? What matters more to you?
Uh, Legacy. I think if you're successful, you leave a great legacy anyway. So I would say legacy. Yeah.
And you leave a successful legacy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sri, I know we are uh, time constrained today, and speaking to you, the topics we touched upon, it's not enough. 45 minutes is not enough to do justice, but this is more like a curtain raiser, and love to have you again on our podcast. And I wish you
Absolutely.
all the very best for your election, and we want to see you on the board of Frisco ISD and continuing to make that impact that you want to make on in education and in other fields as well. And
Mhm.
I'm sure our viewers are taking away a lot of messages, including your appeal for our community people to come out and come forward and work together and support the causes, etc. And your inspirational journey, I'm sure, will inspire a lot of youngsters. And on that note, I wanted to kind of open up our last session in the podcast, which is open to you, your closing comments, anything that you want to share with our viewers, with your voters in Frisco ISD, and
Yeah.
also you. This is just optional. If you want to say sorry or thank you to anyone in your life, you could use this platform to do that.
Yeah, I'll start off with that. I want to say thank you to a lot of people in my life. So many people have helped me along the way. One of the things is like you need supporters and you need mentors, and you need people who are going to boost you along the way. Success is not achievable unless you have a village around you. And that's what we say, right? It takes a village to be successful. So there's so many people that have helped me, that have given me a lending hand when I'm going through some tough times or whatever, and helped me grow and be successful in my career. So I'll start with that. Just real quick, I'm running for Frisco ISD Board of Trustees. Election is in a couple of weeks. Um, Again, my career journey, we've talked about my academic journey, we've talked about BTech from IIT Chennai, Masters in Sciences, MBA. I'm very strong proponent of education. Education helped shape me who I am as a person, and so far. So I'm finding ways to give back. I mentor our kids already in Frisco's high schoolers as in multiple programs. Like there's an entrepreneurship program called Incubator, so I mentor them. There's a program called DECA. I volunteer and mentor them. There's a program called Independent Study and Mentoring. I mentor kids, and it gives me great joy to do that. I've served on the board of Frisco Education Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization supporting Frisco ISD. We give out scholarships to students, we give out grants to teachers, we support STEM programs and entrepreneurship programs. So I served on the board of that. I also served on multiple what we call district advisory councils. So if you as a resident want to get involved and help shape the future of your schools, you do that through these councils. So I've done a couple of those, and I'm serving right now on something called Legislative Leadership Committee, which really handles how do we interface with the state of Texas and make sure we get what we take care of Frisco ISD's best interests going forward. So I'm serving on that. So yeah, I've served in our schools. My vision is to make sure Frisco ISD remains a great school district for many decades to come. There are some headwinds that are coming our way. We touched upon that today. We just need somebody who's experienced, has deep knowledge about our district operations, but also has the right personality and ability to bring all our stakeholders together, foster trust, and make sure we can work together as a community to solve these challenges that we're talking about. So that's me, Sree Majji for Frisco ISD Place 5. If you're a Frisco voter, Frisco ISD voter, please go out and vote for me, spread the word. If you're not in Frisco, please share it with your friends. Go to my website, Sree Majji, the number 4 FISD.com. There's a lot of information about me. Thank you, Guru, for this opportunity. Thank you for introducing me to your viewers and help amplify, right, some of the great things we're doing in our community to your global audience.
Absolutely. And thank you for your time and wish you all the best again for the elections and everything that you're doing. And on that note, we have to come to an end of this show. And we are so thankful to Sri for being here. Again, this is Light to Lighten signing off. And until next time, and I do hope our viewers have taken away lessons that they can implement in their journey, even as they transform their careers and bring in those entrepreneurial qualities that we see in Sri Majji. Thank you, Sri.